At 2:13 in the morning, Michael Reed walked into the emergency room holding the side of his head. He wasn't scared, just tired. The kind of headache you blame on stress, lack of sleep, or another day that never really ended. The waiting room was quiet, fluorescent lights humming overhead, a television playing to no one. Nothing felt urgent. In fact, everything felt ordinary. He almost left. And later doctors would say that decision, staying instead of walking out, may have saved his life. Because 3 hours from that moment, Michael would hear a sentence that divided time into two parts, before this night and everything after. Michael was 36 years old, organized, dependable, the kind of person people trusted when things went wrong. His life worked because it followed rules, schedules, routines, predictable outcomes. Coffee replaced breakfast, emails replaced rest. And sleep, slowly, became optional. The headaches started quietly. Weeks earlier, small flashes of pressure that disappeared before they could feel serious. He ignored them, not out of carelessness, but because nothing else seemed wrong. And when life looks normal, the brain assumes everything is safe. Earlier that afternoon, during a meeting, something strange happened. Michael stopped speaking mid-sentence. He knew exactly what he wanted to say, but the word refused to exist. For 3 seconds, the room waited. Then it came back. People laughed. Someone made a joke. The meeting continued, but a small feeling stayed with him, something he couldn't explain. Later, doctors would call that moment the first warning. At the time, it felt meaningless. By midnight, the headache returned. Heavier now, sharper, harder to ignore. Still, explainable. Stress, fatigue, dehydration, anything but danger. He searched his symptoms online, scrolling faster than he was reading. Then suddenly, he closed the page, not reassured, just unwilling to know more. Because sometimes, uncertainty feels safer than answers. An hour later, he drove to the emergency room. Not because he believed something was wrong, but because a quiet voice suggested checking, just in case. The waiting room felt almost peaceful. Soft lights, distant footsteps, strangers staring at their phones. Nothing looked urgent, which made leaving feel reasonable. The nurse asked routine questions. Pain level, vision problems, nausea. His answers sounded normal, even convincing. Minutes passed, then an hour, then another, and slowly, the pain began to fade. Relief arrived, followed immediately by doubt. Maybe this really was nothing. Michael stood up, picked up his jacket, walked toward the exit. One step, then another, and then he stopped. No sound, no warning, no clear reason, just hesitation. He turned back and sat down again. A decision so small, it barely registered as a decision. Years later, that moment would haunt him more than anything else, because if he had kept walking, no one would have stopped him. Eventually, a doctor called his name. A scan was ordered, mostly precautionary. Michael smiled, apologizing for wasting their time. The technician didn't smile back. 10 minutes later, the atmosphere changed. Movement became faster, voices softer, doors closing carefully. Something was wrong, even before anyone said it. The doctor entered holding a tablet, paused longer than expected, then sat down. People only sit. when the conversation will change everything. There was pressure building silently inside Michael's brain, invisible, patient, dangerous. The headache was never the real problem. Time was, and for weeks, time had been quietly slipping away. What frightened Michael later wasn't the diagnosis. It was how normal everything felt, right until the moment it wasn't. The brain protects us by making danger feel familiar. We normalize discomfort. We postpone action. We wait for certainty that never arrives in time. Michael recovered, slowly, carefully, but one thought never left him. The moment that saved his life didn't feel important. It felt unnecessary. Just a pause, a hesitation, a decision small enough to ignore. Until he realized his entire future depended on a moment he almost walked away from. Last choice. No way back,